Hello and welcome to Outsiders Weather and the Skeptics Ice Age Watch, where, as reported by Electroverse and the Moscow Times, Western Russia has been hit by bitter cold this week and has joined central and eastern regions which have been battered by brutal Arctic lows of -58.3 degrees Celsius and beyond for months now. Moscow is suffering its coldest weather of the past decade, with one weary Muscovite tweeting, "Moscow was almost -20 degrees Celsius today. So cold the water in my drink bottle froze." In Paris, there was so much ice on the Eiffel Tower that they had to use a blowtorch to get rid of it because ice-controlled salt is too corrosive for the metal. In Germany, according to Ice Age Now, they shivered through the coldest weather since the beginning of the 21st century. In Saxony's capital, Dresden, the temperature dropped to -16 degrees Celsius. In Berlin, to -10 degrees Celsius. And in northern Bavaria, there were 10 degrees of frost, as one astute but shivering German showed on social media. "The temperature dropped to -27 this morning. My solar panels can't keep anything warm. Thank God for natural gas and coal when we need it." And here's global warming enthusiast Germany's Chancellor, Angela Merkel, wondering whether history will view as her greatest legacy her decision to throw open her borders to an avalanche of single adult male Middle Eastern asylum seekers, or her decision to get rid of coal. Tough choice, Angela. Speaking of avalanches, according to AccuWeather, there have been a record 16 avalanches across the United States in the last fortnight in what they describe as the deadliest avalanche season in over a century.
That's going forward.
Avalanche control has been a top priority across the country, especially this week. 8 skiers were caught in an avalanche just outside of Salt Lake City Saturday. 4 of them, 2 men and 2 women in their 20s, did not make it. The area was under very high-risk avalanche conditions, with the Utah Avalanche Center tweeting this morning. Authorities say all 8 skiers were experienced and had the right equipment, but sometimes the right equipment isn't enough.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey, the lovies who elected Joe Biden are trying to figure out why it's so damn cold and whether or not it hasn't been this cold since 1978. Maybe, was their hesitant conclusion. That's the problem, you see, with believing in a theory like global warming at a time of record cold weather throughout the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern. As I say, when the facts don't fit the theory, it might be time to dump the theory. Indeed, in New York, after a mammoth 19 inches of snow, they are trying to work out how to clean up all the mess. A bit of an apt metaphor for what awaits the Republicans in 4 years' time. And here's America this week. And no, that big purple patch isn't the Joe Biden fake voting tallies, although it could be. It's actually the unprecedented freezing cold temperatures across most of the 50 states. As Tony Heller points out, many houses in Texas have uninsulated water pipes because they never expected cold air to get this far south. Also, we know over in Britain, it has been like a little ice age. We have had a frozen Thames. We have the River Thames at Teddington is frozen. There are ice chunks coming in from the sea. And Britain is now experiencing what it has experienced many times in the past, namely a little ice age. Meanwhile, the climate alarmists in Britain were forced last week, possibly because of the little ice age, I imagine it was because of it, because of the freezing weather, they decided they better whip up a bit of climate alarmism, with the UK Telegraph terrifying its readers that a tick-borne disease, a parasite with malaria-like symptoms known as babesiosis, is marching across the land because of global warming. This nightmare scenario they had drawn from a report that warned the UK is at risk of the spread of infectious diseases like dengue fever, Lyme disease, and West Nile fever, and from an increase in cholera infections from warming waters in Europe. Whoa! The vectors of these diseases are mosquitoes, sandflies and ticks. As I said, it's freezing cold in Britain at the time, and how many cases of this terrifying babesiosis had they found in the UK last summer to spark off this terrifying alert? 1. Yes, just 1.
Yesterday